Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at the new buffed Pokemon basically. We have every kind of Pokemon that got a new move on here and also most of the good ones that got buffs here today. And yeah, I actually did this video already and I'm going to re-record it right now because in the meantime we actually got the PV Poke rankings here for all of the Pokemon, which kind of helps me with a few of the things where I want to change a few of my opinions. But it's not just going to be like, oh yeah, whatever PV Poke says is exactly what the tier is going to be. It is not going to be the case because I feel like some of the things are not correct on PV Poke. Like, not saying that like, oh, things are completely wrong or whatever. But I do think that a few Pokemon are going to be a little bit better and a few Pokemon are going to be a little bit worse than it shows on PV Poke. But that's my own opinion. Here we're going to take a look now at the Pokemon that you mostly want to build. But there's going to be more videos towards the new season on my channel coming up as well. Especially also today and tomorrow and the day after. Until the new season starts. So definitely stay tuned, subscribe, and we can move on with Altaria. We don't know yet on how much energy Dazzling Gleam needs. I'm going to put it into the B tier. If it's going to be 50 energy, it's going to be the better move to go for the Altaria, which I hope for, and this would make this Pokemon quite solid. We have next up, Among Us. This Pokemon has access to Foul Play, which definitely going to benefit quite a bit from it because you have now faster pacing with this Pokemon. I'm going to put it into the B tier because it's actually quite a solid Pokemon with that. Arborouge actually got up quite high on PV Poke to like the top 150 Pokemon for the Open Great League, which is really good. But I do not agree with it being that great because of the like limited amount of bulk that you have and the quite awkward typing that you have. So I'm going to put it into the C tier. Don't think it's going to be too great for this meta. Same goes for the Belly Bolt. We have to see what Discharge is. PV Poke says 40 energy. I hope for 35. Again, we're only going to be able to see it when the season is actually going to be live. Same goes for Blossom. I actually think that Blossom is going to be a really good Pokemon. I kind of want to put it into the A tier because with a cheaper Dazzling Gleam, this Pokemon is going to be definitely way better, but it depends on the Dazzling Gleam energy. If it's 50, it's definitely going to be an A tier. If it's 55, it's going to be a B tier. If it's like more than 55, it's going to be way lower, but I do think it's either 50 or 55, so A tier. I feel like it's kind of solid for Blossom right now. Actually, really solid Grass-type Pokemon coming up thanks to the Dazzling Gleam buff. And now we're going to take a look at the first S tier, which in my opinion is going to be Blastoise. While this Pokemon is not that highly ranked, even though it's still kind of highly ranked here. As a Shadow, it's 80, and I think the normal one's a little bit higher here as well. 80, not that, so 47. This Pokemon is definitely going to be still, I think, better than this ranking going to show, because I cannot see a world where a Rollout Hydro Cannon is going to be only rank 47. I think it's going to be a really good Pokemon that a lot of people are going to use. So for me, that's just going to be an S tier pick. This Pokemon here depends again on how Rock Tomb is going to be in terms of energy. I thought it's going to be 55 energy, where Bombardier is not going to be too great. PV Poke says 50 energy, where this Pokemon is kind of okay-ish, so I'm going to put it to the B tier. It is not as good as, for example, the Galarian Moltres, but still has some potential. Next up, we're going to have here Bronzong, which has, of course, Psyshock, which got buffed, which is kind of cool, which kind of put us into B tier. Anything higher would be definitely not correct for this Pokemon. And next up is going to be Bruxish, which doesn't want to run Psyshock. So yeah, it got added to it, but I don't think it really wants to run it. I don't think PV Poke has Bruxish here with Psyshock because the Psychic Fangs just does make way more sense. Exactly. So yeah, there is no real reason to run Psyshock on this Pokemon. Moving on, we're going to have Cacturne next. This Pokemon has access to the Dynamic Punch, which now is very likely 45 energy move with 90 damage, which is really good, but because of the bulk and because of the typing, I have to put it into the C tier. It is still okay though. I do think that this Pokemon has some play with Dynamic Punch, but yeah, C tier I feel like is kind of accurate. Maybe actually B tier. I feel like B tier is more accurate for this Pokemon here. Castform. Castform is going to be one that I have to put into the C tier sadly, but I'm actually personally kind of excited for this boy because of the amount of coverage this Pokemon has. Like, Castform is kind of a cool boy for sure. As you see here, the rankings, by the way, are not final, but with the Hex update here, you're going to have Weather Ball Rock as well as the Energy Ball, giving you some great coverage against the current meta. But you also still have Weather Ball Normal, which I could see being kind of cool, and Hurricane, which also has some play, especially against those Fighting-type Pokemon, so they can maybe catch them off guard. Charjabug, it depends on Discharge again. I'm just gonna put it into the A tier, hoping that it's 35 energy, then this Pokemon gonna get a buff. If it's 40, it's gonna be more of a nerf for the Charjabug. Apparently, Claydol is very good, which I don't agree with directly, because I don't think it's going to be 50 energy for the Rock Tomb. I think it's 55, but currently it's 50 here on PV Poke, which puts Claydol at number 15. I do think it's more B tier, I have to say. I don't think it's going to be A tier. I really don't think so, so I'm going to put it actually into the B tier as well. I don't think it's going to be 50, and I don't think it's going to be that great, but I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry about that. Claydol, you might be finally solid, but I don't actually really think it is going to be that great. But because on how PvPoker ranks it right now, like anything other than A tier would be a bit annoying there, but I don't think it's going to be that great. Again, Clefable here depends on how the Dazzling Beam is going to be in terms of the energy. If it's 50, it's going to be buff. If it's 55, you're on to run Moonblast, so I'm going to put it into the B tier. We don't know yet. Credilly, even with 55 energy, I think it's going to be a great Pokemon, so I have to be putting it into the A tier. Dinene, I don't know, depends again on how Discharge is going to be. So I'm just going to put it into the C tier. I don't think it's going to be that great. Dewgong, I don't know if Dewgong really wants to have the Aqua Jet. As we will see here, Drillon is still here as well for PvPoke. I do think this is the correct play to have Drillon on this Pokemon as well. I'm still going to put it into the A tier. It's going to be a very nice side grade, but I don't think it's worth getting rid of Drillon for the Aqua Jet, which is a legacy move. We have next the Drapion, it's the Dragalge, which has access to Sludge Bomb, which is a cool upgrade for it, but it doesn't really change too much. We have the Drampa. The Pokemon itself, yeah, it's just somewhere in the B tier. Like, you can run it with Swift, it's going to be better, but it's like not crazy. Drifloon got this whole buff, that's kind of cool. And now we're going to take a look at the S tiers, which I didn't think they would be that great, but like they were actually so good. So actually I had them already in my first tier list in the S tier, so yeah. Dusclops, Dusknoir, like both of them are going to be really good, and I can tell you also why this is the case. Number 8 and number 9. The reason for this is they have coverage for Diggersby. So normal type Pokemon are going to be very good because most of the Pokemon that are currently good in the meta are going to be a part Ghost type here. So normal type Pokemon are going to rise, which is mainly going to be the Diggersby. And Dusknoir has Dynamic Punch and Dusclops has Ice Punch. Dusclops is better bulky, like bulk-wise. Dusknoir is better in terms of the damage output. So both of them are going to be good in their own kind of way, but both of them going to be able to at least kind of deal with Diggersby. As you can see here, it's not directly a win, it's not directly a win here as well, but both of them can deal with it, which is the main reason why they are so good. Emolga apparently is also really good, but again, it depends on how Discharge is, but because Acrobatics got buffed as well, I actually gonna put it into the high A tier, could be the S tier, and apparently Grumpig is S tier, which I don't directly agree with. I don't think that Grumpig is going to be as great as it's shown here. It has decent bulk. It has, actually doesn't even have a craziest bulk either. I don't know why it's so highly ranked. I honestly have no idea why it's so highly ranked. We can maybe take a look at it real quick here as well, because I don't think it deserves the rank that it has. I do think it's going to be a little bit lower than what we've seen so far. I could be wrong. I know Dynamic Punch is great, Shadow Ball is great. Yeah, it looks kind of good on the meta. I can't really deny that as well. So yeah, it might be a very solid one, but like you don't have stat damage, and that's the thing as well. You don't have stat damage on this Pokemon other than the Fast Move. Of course, Fast Move is doing the stat damage, but Charge Move don't. And so, True Shield Scenario, it doesn't look like a great Pokemon. I cannot put it into the S tier here. I cannot. I'm gonna put it into A tier. I don't think it is as great as PvPoke shows it. That's my own opinion. I don't think it's as great. Same goes for Claydol. I don't think either of them are going to be as good. I do think that Jellicent is going to be very good though. Which again, like, pushes maybe some more normal type Pokemon, but again, Diggersby doesn't really want to face it because Surf is going to be super effective, making Jellicent all of a sudden a very good Pokemon in the meta again. We have Jirachi. It depends again on how dazzling you're going to be there. I like Jirachi, that's why I have it in here, but C tier is where it deserves to be. And Jumpluff has to be S tier. I wonder how good Jumpluff is going to be. Like, honestly, here, and let's take a look real quick. Yeah, I'm just going to put this away. Like, let's take a look real quick at Jumpluff. Jumpluff is ranked at 25. It doesn't actually have the moveset yet, but I do think that the double the double flying type moveset is going to be the best one with Acrobatics and Aerial Ace, because before people were running this already, and now it's going to be even stronger because Acrobatics needs less energy. And then you could even go for Dazzling as a coverage move if you really want to, which I don't think you should. I don't think Dazzling ever going to be good on this Pokemon. But yeah, this is still should be an S tier pick for sure. Same goes for Lapras. Lapras deserves its rank. Lapras is really, really good, and it's definitely supposed to be here. Ledian, on the other hand, I don't think it's going to be that great. I don't know where Ledian actually even ended up with. It's going to be, yeah, it's not really that great. I actually have to kind of put it even a little bit lower than this. Maybe C tier is where it belongs. We have the, what's called Linoon. Linoon, I feel like should be a low A tier. Same kind of goes for its partner in crime, which is going to be the other normal type which got buffed, which is going to be Ferret, which I forgot again. Let me just edit real quick. There it is. It's going to be also into the A tier where it kind of deserves to be. Macargo I'm going to put into the B tier. It depends again on how the Rock Tomb is going to be, but I hope that's going to be 55. I think it would be a little bit better for the meta itself. I feel like Rock Tomb would be a little bit too overpowered otherwise. We're going to have Melima. Apparently it's an S tier. Apparently foul play helps it a lot by being very, very cheap now. And you don't know if it's going to be a bait or just a foul play. So it has to be S tier based on what we see from the calculations. Mamoswine actually surprisingly lower than I expected. Piloswine I have to put into the A tier. It looked better on the calculations, but I guess the meta currently is not as great for the Piloswine than the meta that we have currently. So the meta shifts kinda towards a meta that Piloswine doesn't like. While before Piloswine would be really good for the current meta that we have. So it is what it is. Sadly, Piloswine doesn't really benefit too much from the change now because the meta shifts more towards water type Pokemon, I feel like. Which I feel like, I saw people be like, oh, grass type Pokemon don't have really play. I feel like grass type Pokemon have a lot of play this season. So I feel like grass type definitely should come out quite a bit. I'm mad that Manabus is #1 spot now without having any change to it, other than like maybe that foul play is not really viable on this Pokemon anymore. But let's move on here to the next one where we have Marowak. I'm gonna put this into the B tier, but just, yeah, like, it's still not good. Like, it's still not really very strong there. We have Major next, which I'm gonna put into the S tier actually. I know it is not ranked that high, but I kinda can't see a way where Major is not going to overtake the meta. The reason why it's so low is because the current top meta are all kinda answers to it, but nobody is gonna run three ghost type Pokemon basically. So I would assume that the meta gonna shift a little bit anyway, and more towards like even dark type Pokemon and normal type Pokemon to deal with the ghost type Pokemon. So Major is going to be able to farm them up quite easily. Mew is going to be next and actually has a really high rank as well in the top 100 now. I'm gonna put it to the 80. I think it's very versatile. I think it has a lot of play in the current meta thanks to the Psyshock buff. Even my Diana has a lot of play, and I would put it into the B tier. I actually had it here as well before I even saw the rankings. I knew it would be a very solid Pokemon thanks to the Sucker Punch. It's a very cool one. I actually didn't see where Ninetales ended up with. I don't think that Ninetales is that crazy, but I do think that actually Charm Ninetales is going to have a lot of play, which again is not displayed on PvPoke, but I think Charm alone Ninetales is going to be very good, but it just got a buff generally speaking anyway. While the normal Ninetales doesn't really use it that much, but it still is a solid option on it, so it's going to be a B tier. Poliwrath. Poliwrath is an interesting pick because Poliwrath didn't really use the move before and still doesn't use it on PvPoke, but I do think there's a cool moveset that you can run with it, where it has a lot of play, so I'm gonna put it into the A tier, but more low A tier. Thanks to the Dynamic Punch buff, we have another D tier here with the Reuniclus. We don't have to talk about. You don't have a fast movement. Like, what are you doing? Do you want to send headbutt people? I have no idea. Roserade. The Roserade got a nice ranking here. Roserade is also quite solid, but again, Poison Sting kind of makes it a little bit of an awkward Pokemon. I would put it into the A tier still, because on what potential it has, but it's more difficult to play. It is very squishy, and it has like more of a high skill gap there, but I think it's a cool Pokemon to have for sure. Cool thing for me as well, I have a Shando that I built already from the Master League, so that's definitely gonna get a showcase. Anyway, next one is going to be Runerigus. And thanks to the Rock Tomb buff, it's going to be a bit better, but it depends on how Rock Tomb is. If it's 55 energy, it's going to be not as great. If it's 50 energy, it's definitely solid. We have next up Scrafty, which I felt like is going to be a very good Pokemon, but PvPoke apparently disagrees, but they still have Thunder Punch on here, which I don't agree with either. I think it's going to be a Power Punch user, and I'm going to put it to the low A tier. I think Scrafty is kind of back, but that is my own opinion. If you have a different opinion, that is great. But I do think that Scrafty actually has a lot of play in the current meta, and that's my own opinion. The issue is Annihilate. Annihilate would be a little bit of a trickier one again, but as you'll see here, we're going to have the next Pokemon coming up, the Sableye has to be S tier. Like, this Pokemon is absolutely overpowered. Like, as said before already in one of the other videos where I put like Medicham and Sableye on the thumbnail. Yeah, both of them are going to be really, really good, and I do think that both of those meta Pokemon from back in the day, which is generally the theme of today's kind of meta update, they're both going to be very good. Here we're going to have basically Sableye in light version, which is going to be the, forgot the name of it, Spiritomb. I want to say Krupok, which is the German word for it, but Spiritomb is the English word for it. B tier, here the Stunfisk really depends on if it's going to be 35 or 40 energy for the Thundershock. I'm going to put it into the A tier for now. If it's 40 energy, it's going to be a nerf. If it's 35 energy, it's going to be a buff, so depends. Swallowed surprised me on the rankings. I didn't think that Swallowed would be that great in terms of the rankings, but it has great stats, and so I have to put it into the A tier. I actually had it in the B tier before, but after seeing the ranks, I cannot put more Pokemon a little bit higher up here. Cyberghost of Swampert deserves to be in the A tier. I am curious if actually this Pokemon here, the Sylveon, is having any play. With Charm Psyshock, it is going to be a bit better, but like, it is definitely not as great. I do think Quick Attack is better for this Pokemon, but I'm gonna put it into the B tier. Togekiss doesn't really have any play. I just gonna put into the detail. I don't really see the point of running this one, but Togetic is going to be actually an S tier pick. The changes to this Pokemon really helped it out. Togetic is now for sure in the meta, like you have to be careful for this one. And it's definitely going to be here to destroy a lot of people, especially with Psyshock there being great coverage for a Fairy-type Pokemon. That's going to be very, very cool. And we can move on to the next one. Toxicroak, sadly C tier, don't think it's better. Same goes for Toxtricity. But then we have Venomoth, and this Pokemon looks kind of funny. And I do think it's going to be better than it shows here. I do think it's better, especially in the 2-shade scenario. So I'm going to put it into the B tier here for itself. I think it's where it deserves to be. Same goes for Wailord and the Velma. Wartortle, I'm sorry, it has to be A tier. I feel like it is going to be so much better than people expect. The normal Weezing is going to be sadly in the D tier, not great because it doesn't have a good cheap charge move. Rollout is cool on it, but like that's basically it. And the other Weezing is going to be an S tier for the Open Great League. This is the Great League ranking. If you want to see something for the Ultra League like this as well, maybe let me know down below in the comment section. But this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you then. Bye bye.